Tell me your dreams over bacon and eggs. We'll share a laugh and a story and even a wish on the breakfast dish. Bop, 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 bop.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 6th episode of The Breakfast Dish. This is the second take of this. I called it the Breakfast Series, and the reason that is the case is because it is based on Karen's Breakfast Series on Facebook, which, if you haven't seen yet, that's okay. Facebook's a dying social media anyways. So, I'm joined, of course, by Karen as my co-host.
Hello, I'm Karen Johnson-Diamond. I am the mother of my co-host, Griffin Cork, who just said that my breakfast series was on a dying social media platform, whereas I believe that the 600-odd people that I've had breakfast with, their pictures still on that platform mean something.
They do? Oh, I just mean the user attendance is lower, that's all.
All right.
Don't blame me, blame Zuckerberg. Tell the world what we do on the podcast.
Us over 50s. Who's with us? Who else is with us, Griffin, on this podcast where we talk about art that has had to move online because of some weird COVID times?
We are joined by the charming and equally not sweaty as any of the three of us, Andrew Macdonald-Smith.
Hello.
Andrew.
Andrew's going to sound really good this episode because Andrew's come on the show to talk about a podcast. So his audio is going to be choice.
Exceptional.
Oh, man, you've raised the stakes.
That's true.
It occurs to me, though, with Karen Johnson-Diamond and Andrew Macdonald-Smith, Griffin, you need to find your third name.
Yeah.
My Harrison.
There you go.
Griffin Harrison Cork. It's almost syllab. Let's move on.
Syllabically?
Yeah, thank you. Damn it!
Hey, three named actors are always successful.
Right?
As the three of us hiding in our closets can attest.
That's it. And
That's
we
true.
are in our closets, and it is 29 degrees outside, and we love each other so
1,000
much.
degrees inside.
It's 20,000 degrees inside. But we love each other so much, we can't wait to talk in the heat of our closets. I just wrote that song. I just wrote it. Talking in the heat of our closets.
Talking in the heat. Yeah, that's a new Marvin Gaye song. All right. Well, to give some history, I first saw Andrew Macdonald-Smith on stage at Teatro La Quincida in a production of Witness to a Conga, which I think was the second show that I'd ever seen in Edmonton since I moved there for university.
And that was during the Fringe, the first production.
I think so.
Right when you would have gone there for university. Because we did a remount a few years ago now. But you would have seen it right before you started school because we were in Fringe times in August, I suppose. Fringe times.
We were in Fringe times. Yeah, I moved to Edmonton like August 30th.
Yeah.
Point of order. I believe that you first...
Yes, okay, approach the bench.
Okay, first of all, back up. Give us the correct pronunciation of that theater company because it is completely unspellable, and I don't know if anyone that says it right. It's kind of like acai berries or something. What is the name of that theater company?
It is Teatro La Quindicina.
Oh my God.
And it is spelled the exact way that it sounds.
Quindicina. Teatro
Quindicina.
Damn it.
La Quindicina?
Yeah, Quindicina. There's a D, no T.
You're still saying the T.
The blind, yeah, the blind, like deer in headlights
deafening
look
silence.
of just like, I don't know. Am I frozen? Am I speaking
As Karen
here?
tries to figure out the difference between a D and a T, I've always called it Teatro de la Quindicina or something. So say it again.
Oh, right.
Say it again for us.
That's very common. So it's Teatro La Quindicina.
Okay. What is Quindicina? Is it a cheese?
You're interrogating it.
No, it's from a so Stuart Lemoyne, who started the company at the Fringe in 1982. Yes, 1982. He and his friends just put together a show at the Fringe, as you do, not thinking that 38 years later, it would still be a company. And so it was just a joke between them. And I think it's from the book Travels with My Aunt. And there's a troupe that comes through town called Teatro La Quindicina, which the protagonist believes is a theater of the 15 and is a theater, but it is in fact a traveling brothel.
Uh-huh.
And they they move around every 15 days or something like that. I could definitely be wrong, and Stuart Lemoyne will completely correct me on it.
I'm never going to believe any other story.
And then cut to 38 years later, Stuart on the phone going, QUINDICINA.
Yeah.
So we just say Teatro Q. That's always easier.
Teatro Q.
Or just Teatro.
That's much cooler.
Yeah. Our website is teatroq.com. Much easier to deal with.
All right, everyone be quiet. I have to get clean audio of this. On stage is Teatro Q. Said it right, Griff. All right.
So you can cut out the other stuff.
I'll have to edit that in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Here's my second point of order. I believe the first time you would have seen Andrew Macdonald-Smith on stage might have been at Theatre Calgary in Crazy for You.
No, Crazy for You is after.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, Crazy for You was about 4 years ago now.
Oh, it feels longer.
Yeah, my body's only just recovered from that show.
That was a crazy show for you.
If you didn't see Andrew in that show, you missed out. But if you want to see Andrew in something awesome, I'm just going to plug. If you look at the Wish You Were Here commercials for the Banff Centre, right now he's got a beautiful, I don't know, are they commercials? Are they PSAs? What are they?
I don't know. I guess they're an advertisement of sorts, but they're sort of a Banff, the Fairmont Banff Springs and the Fairmont Lake Louise did a series of a couple of "We miss you, but we'll wait till you're back." We'll wait for you sort of series and spotlighting specific art forms and with Alberta artists and a specific job at the hotel. So I was the bellboy and sort of completely alone in the Banff Springs Hotel, dancing around, singing All Alone by Irving Berlin.
It's so great. So Google that, Banff Springs Hotel, bellboy. It will be awesome.
Yeah. Bellhop, maybe? Yeah.
Okay, Griffin, do you want to talk about what we're really here to talk about?
We absolutely can.
Yeah.
But I have to retract something because we didn't even have to get into anything with Teatro Q or call out my mispronunciation because the real first time that I saw Andrew on stage was, I think, in Theatre Calgary's production of Mary Poppins. Am I right about that?
Oh, I don't know what came first there. You might be right.
I think I am right.
I think you might be right.
That added Bert to my list of... I don't have a lot of roles that I want to do in a musical. I don't consider myself a huge musical guy, but Bert, I was like, oh, cool. Because the way that Andrew sang it and the way that the director and like the lighting designer worked is that like the first couple of Chim Chimmery songs where Bert just comes in and like kind of transition scenes was like really shady and serious. And I went, oh, okay, cool. He's a wizard.
Yeah, Michael Shimada directed it, and he has a really interesting style that of basically going into that show with it's very London of that era, very dirty, very dark, very stark. Even the lighting was very white, which is very uncommon in a musical especially. You want to have some gels in there. And then when anything magical happened, color would sort of come back into the costume design and the set, and it made the magic, I think, more magical.
Right. All right. Okay, now to go back. Yes, this is a podcast where we interview people who are doing digital or online or socially distanced art. And of course, now we've covered that Andrew Macdonald-Smith is a very talented and accomplished actor. But Andrew, what else are you doing?
Well, right now, along with a bunch of nothing, myself and two of my best friends, Farren Timoteo, who you will have seen, I'm sure, on stage in Edmonton and Calgary as well, and Kayvon Khoshkam, who's a Vancouver actor, who's originally from Saskatoon. He was in... here I am, just like completely digressing.
Do it.
We're doing a
that's
podcast.
What this podcast is for.
Yep.
Yeah. So Kayvon, you would know definitely from... He was in that NAC production of Twelfth Night that came to Calgary and then had a bunch of Calgary performers with the Trouts.
Oh, in the 12th Night?
Yeah.
Yes, the Trout one was so good.
He was the clown.
Oh, okay.
Okay, great.
Took you through
For
everything.
sure.
Gotcha.
100%.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's incredible. And the three of us have done a couple of shows together and just hit it off like gangbusters. And Kayvon backstage loves to read when he's got some time, and he'll just read whatever is in the green room. And at the green room of the Citadel, while they were doing As You Like It, he found this book called Vigilante, Knock Knock You're Dead. And it's this crazy kind of crime, gritty Pulp Fiction novel from the 70s. And in reading that, he just couldn't believe what like the content was and the things that were acceptable of that era. And he just had to read it to people. And in doing that, he was like, I need to read the first. I need to start all over. I need to do all of this. And he found that original 1975 first book in this 6-book series of the Vigilante and had it on his desk for a month once the pandemic hit. And he was like, I guess I should read this, but I kind of want to share it. And so he called Farren and myself and said, you guys want to read this book and talk about it? Because I think a lot of things come out of these really old pulp fiction novels that, you know, it's a revenge subgenre that the three of us thought that we would undertake reading. So it's a book club. It's called the Vigilante Book Club. And we, every week, we read a new chapter. Kayvon reads it cold. He's never read it before. And the three of us discuss what comes up inside it. It's insane what was acceptable. It's also very uncomfortable at times that we get into some discussions we did not expect. But we're just three guys who like really enjoy each other and laughing at ridiculous writing. And then also a lot of the time what comes up inside of a revenge type story is some very toxic masculinity and sexism and those sorts of things. And so we try as best we can to sort of process that ourselves as honestly as we can. So far, we're really loving it, and we can't wait to share it with people.
Right, because that was one of my first questions is like, do you all have a copy? Do you all take turns reading? That's a really kind of genius format of podcast in terms of you get the kind of interview style because you three are talking, which of course is that whole other style of just like three people gabbing about kind of whatever, but it is like directed, and then it's also practically an audiobook in that sense.
Yeah.
So, and to be clear, Kayvon went and he's found the first book in the 6-book series, and that's what you guys are starting with?
Yes. So he found the 4th book in the green room at the Citadel.
Right.
Shout out to the Citadel for the most beautiful green room in Canada. He found it and read it, gobbled it up, and was amazed. And Farren was in that show with him, and so they would talk about it. And he was like, I can't move forward with this book. I need to just go back to the start, and we're going to start the whole 6-book series. And we're on book 1, New York, An Eye for an Eye, where it all begins.
Okay.
I want to say last week our guest was Kimmy Beach, who is a poet and an editor. And she wrote her first book about movies about Jimmy Cagney or poems from the point of view of women in Jimmy Cagney films. And we had to break the news to my young, impressionable son that there was movies where Cagney would just jam a grapefruit into a woman's face and that was okay back then. So I think it's...
I guess that just feels like super overkill. Like grapefruit juice in your eyes? That's... The Geneva Convention has something about that, I think.
I think because of Cagney.
And that's true. Too. Oh, James, he did it for us.
But so yeah. I wonder if I think there's a... Anyway, I love the idea of the conversation that's going to come out of, you would never see that now, you would never write that now, you would never hear it now, what is going on, or what was acceptable and what isn't. And hopefully, if you have listeners that think it's still acceptable, their minds will be changed by you.
I would certainly hope so. There are things that have happened. We've got a couple in the can ready to go, and some of the things that have happened inside it, even right off the top, were unexpected for us. And if anyone is going to be on side with the first chapter of that book, I would be very surprised. And I hope that they listen and they hear how unacceptable these things can be. It's so fun to sort of talk about it and focus on what also raised the people who raised us, what was really popular in those eras, because we're all sort of mid-30s men, but we grew up sort of struggling with specifically what it means to be a man, you know, and it's always being challenged even to this day, very frankly, and as it should be. And so we're trying to read this very insensitive material as sensitively as we can be.
And what do you find? I'll kind of ask both right now. What do you find that the benefits and the challenges are in terms of reckoning with these topics with two other people that you know, but rather than just like solo in your bed at home crying? Do you know what I mean? Like those, like do you find the conversation brings up new kind of obviously like tangential topics, but like what are the differences in your mind in terms of what the listeners will hear?
I find it, well, personally, I'm a verbal processor. As my partner will attest, I need to talk things through to really process them as well as I can. And I also really love hearing different opinions from my own to then go, well, okay, I've heard that. What do I think about that? How do I feel about that? Where do I feel challenged or uncomfortable or completely in agreement and like, oh, you've perfectly articulated it. So that's been really wonderful to do. And Farren and myself went to theater school together. So we've known each other for just about this month, 20 years.
Whoa.
And 19. I'm a big fat liar, but 20 sounded so good.
We got to stop the podcast.
Next year it'll be 20
we're
years.
Done, I think. We don't have liars for guests. No dice.
Okay, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
So it's interesting because he's someone I have grown up with, essentially, since I went to theater school at 17, and I've known him since. Don't do the math. And so he and I have shared a lot together, and yet I'm still discovering new things about his history and he mine, and Kayvon, who I've known for now a few years, that we've become very close. I found that really interesting to hear our similarities, where we don't quite diverge, or where we do diverge, I should say, and how we can process that. And I think there's a power in three friends all equally interested in exploring whatever comes up. And we all also have a very similar sense of humor with each other, so we don't take everything super seriously.
I really like the idea of using these kind of taboo topics to discover something new about people you know and love, because it is kind of what they open a door to, is because, you could know somebody for anywhere between, 15 to 19 to 20 years and not know their views or stakes or, their experience with these kind of topics because they don't come up as often. That sounds fascinating.
I've known you for 24 years, Griffin, and I know everything there is to know about you. There are no secrets. There's nothing about you that I don't know.
Really? Have you and I ever had an in-depth conversation about toxic masculinity?
No, but I don't need to. You're my kid. I can read you like a book. Plus, can we also...
You don't need to, but you're a boy. You don't have feelings.
Can we please take Vigilante the Book Club and rename it using these taboo topics to learn things about people that you didn't know about them?
No, we can't make all podcast titles more than 11 words. That's not... That can't be the case.
This is my shortest titled podcast. The Breakfast Dish. 3 words. What?
This is basically your plug for your other podcast.
Yeah, that's how
That's what that joke was.
Yeah. Have I brought up Neil Diamond yet? I said I would do that in every episode too. Did I talk about him yet?
Right. Give us a fact. Go.
Okay. Neil Diamond's middle name is Leslie. Moving on.
Great.
It's a good middle name.
I don't know. However, I have seen Kayvon perform, but holy, Farren is.
Yeah.
He's Farren. He's amazing. Griffin, you were in a movie with Farren once.
When I met Farren, he was in a sparkly Speedo underneath the evergreen tree, and I had squash goggles and my mother's hoodie on and Vanilla Ice lines shaved into the side of my head, and my name was Weird Charlie.
What's so strange is that's exactly how I met Farren in theater school.
That's crazy.
He's like a never nude with those shorts.
Of course.
The two of you talking about anything is going to be like, you could read me the results of my colonoscopy and I'd be happy. Now I just want to hear what happens if the three of you get together, you and Farren and Kayvon.
It's a really great alchemy because, believe it or not, I'm the less talkative of the three. And there's something interesting because we don't get to have some of these conversations right now because of COVID that you would maybe get to have socially with your friends inside of dealing with the current state of the world, and as well as other things that aren't maybe as specifically happening right now, but I think still definitely apply. So it's nice to be able to have that conversation with people you trust as freely as possible, and then be able to edit it out if you sound like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We women, I'm just going to be completely gender specific right now. People like me who present as women tend to constantly talk about the fact that men don't get together. Men don't have these kind of conversations. They don't talk about, you'd never see three men talking about toxic masculinity. And of course it happens. And there's a great program in Calgary called Wise Guys where that's exactly it. Young men like you walk into junior high schools and talk to young boys about toxic masculinity. But we always assume that men never sit down and talk about their feelings. So this is, you're breaking the mold, or you're breaking the assumption, something.
And we thank you. That's confidence building, because there's elements of a number of things inside it, because sexism comes up inside of the book a number of times. And toxic masculinity, I suppose, can go really hand in hand with that, using women as sexual, only describing a female character by the way they look. That is a part of toxic masculinity as well as sexism, but also rampant racism and homophobia and all of these things. And as three straight white-presenting men, Kayvon is mixed race, but he still presents white, so he struggles with his privilege inside of that, wondering if the three of us are appropriate in being the only people in a room tackling an issue of that nature. And I think that that's something that we've definitely considered and work really hard to say, like, well, no, we're having this conversation here, and hoping that presents the opportunity for other people to have that conversation themselves, and also making ourselves available to accountability. And if we have missed a take, then so be it. And we can learn.
I love the podcast where people come back and go, oh, holy cow, did we ever mess up last week? We said this and we meant this. Like, I love when it becomes a discussion and a learning opportunity rather than people just shaming each other.
Yeah, and I think that we're trying to be as transparent and honest as we can, even with ourselves, a couple of times inside of working through a couple of items.
So, not that I necessarily recommend these books, but for the more audiobook element of the podcast, you want to give us like a synopsis of the current book you're reading? I love that Kayvon reads it cold. I think that's so great. But yeah, like what actually happens in the book? Do you know? Or so far, maybe?
Sure. So I know that it's written by Vijay Santiago, which is a great name, but it is a pseudonym for a guy named Robert Laurie, and he was known for these Dracula books, so they gave him a pseudonym. Each book is a new city and is 1 week later than the previous book. It's basically 6 weeks, the length of all 6 books. And The Vigilante New York, An Eye for an Eye, is the first one. And it introduces us to a very violent street or area in New York, basically a very violent time in New York. And we meet our protagonist named Joe Madden.
The football star.
Yeah, the Joe Madden. And he and his young wife, Sarah, have a nice life, and they have we see the hectic day of Madden. He's an expert engineer, and he and his wife leave a social engagement and find themselves mugged and viciously assaulted on a subway, and his wife is killed.
Jeez.
But wait a second. What was she wearing? How did she look?
She was gorgeous. Yeah, that's all that matters, isn't it?
No.
The great,
yeah.
It's remarkable how many characters are described by either race or how women look.
Or cleavage.
Yep. Oh, there's a number of humdingers that we just go, hold the phone.
You just said humdingers.
Yeah, a number of buzzwings.
Oh, yeah.
Griffin, humdingers means big things. It's a word that we used to use when I was your age.
I know what a humdinger is. I absolutely know. I really do appreciate.
Way before 8-tracks and VHS machines.
Yeah, humdinger. Is that an AOL thing? Come on, you guys. Let's get serious here.
But his wife is killed.
Yes,
in the first book.
In the first book, fairly quickly, and then he goes about. Right now, he really. The thing that I'm actually noting is how much this first book really is quite grief ridden. His grief, which I was surprised by, and he goes about, I suppose, I don't know, being a vigilante of some sort. I'm assuming it's just Batman. It's just Batman. This is the poor man's Batman.
Right. How much do you read an episode? Like, do you have a set amount of the book that you read, or do you have it's just like a set time limit? And what's the format? Can you interrupt Kayvon with, "Hey, that's a humdinger. I'm 75." It doesn't feel good, you two, does it? Yeah. No, it's flipped.
No, weirdly, that felt great. Thank you.
I feel awesome, actually.
Wow, what a breakthrough. We record one chapter an episode. The first chapter is the prologue and then the first chapter. But we do one chapter an episode. Unless one chapter is remarkably short, then we might do two. But yes, we stop in the middle of it. If something really strikes us, Kayvon in the middle of writing one episode, he is reading about the engineering firm. And in the middle of it, he's sort of like, yes, and then the hard-hitting man came in. I could not be more bored if I tried. It's just there's freedom to make any comments that come up along the way. There's a great moment where his wife comes up to him and says, I think I made the coffee wrong. And then he says, while sipping his grapefruit juice, he goes, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, there's your problem. She made grapefruit juice. I made there's just bad writing all over the place in weird places. It feels like the author a number of times cannot decide what he thinks. Where he'll say, the girl was wearing a green dress or blue or whatever one of those colors might be.
What?
That's what a number of times it's as though he wrote it in such a hurry. He sort of had footnotes, but the publisher just threw it all in anyway.
You can't have undecided imagery. That doesn't make any sense.
It's so funny.
It's a cliff or a river, maybe a hole. I don't know.
Whatever you call one of those things.
What happens, she asks, interestingly, when you're finished the Vigilante series? Are you going to take recommendations for other pulp fiction novels? Is that what you call it? Pulp fiction?
Yeah. I mean, all we think of it as the movie. But yeah, that sort of pulpy novel, I mean, the crime sort of revenge type subgenre exists.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what the Vigilante is. Yeah, so when we finish the Vigilante series, or we may even need a break.
Sure.
And do season 1 is the first book and season 2 is something else. It's starting with the Vigilante, and it can become anything. So if people listen and they think that they've got a great idea for what we should do next, we would love to hear about it, because it's been such a treat to be doing so far. This airs on Monday, right? On the 3rd?
It does, yes. August 3rd.
Okay, great. August 3rd.
August 3rd.
Welcome to today, August 3rd.
Yeah. What we meant is, this is live, and we're recording it.
Yeah,
August
we're
3rd.
actually having breakfast with Andrew Macdonald-Smith right now on the morning of August 3rd. I'm having porridge, and Griffin is having eggs and bacon, and Andrew has a smoothie.
Not paying attention to any guidelines. I stuck my hand in his eggs.
Anyway, what's your question outside of the question?
Well, my question was if this is airing on the 3rd, because then I would say, the thing drops today.
Do it. Let's get clean audio right now. Do it. Say the phrase.
So the Vigilante Book Club, actually, episode 0, our trailer episode, if you will, drops today on Apple Podcasts, unless something goes technically and remarkably wrong, in which case, maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. On today, August 3rd, the day we all knew it was.
The Monday morning. What did you actually have for breakfast today, Andrew? What was your breakfast?
Oh, today was grocery shopping day, so it was a quick breakfast. I think I had some corn pops.
I love corn pops.
Remember corn pop?
What'd you have, Griff?
I had kind of a sad man's breakfast. I had peanut butter toast and one Frappy's wiener and a fruit cup.
I don't know. That's all the food groups.
What is peanut butter toast?
What?
Is it just peanut butter on toast?
Yeah.
Andrew.
Why do you call it peanut butter toast? Is that
I guess I wouldn't say butter toast. I don't know.
Yeah, jam toast.
Jam toast. Bear toast.
Cheese whiz toast.
I guess you would say tuna sandwich.
I call it peanut butter toast too.
Maybe. Okay, so I get it from you. So this is your fault.
It's your fault.
Yeah.
Or cinnamon toast. I call it cinnamon toast too. Have you ever had cinnamon toast, people?
There is maple bagels.
But that's a part of it. It's like raisin toast.
Right.
So I'm like, is there peanut butter in your toast?
There should be.
This is the kind of hard-hitting information you could get from the Vigilante Book Club.
and the breakfast
That's right,
dish.
teamed up.
The breakfast dish.
Your only trusted sources of journalism.
I had a bagel with cream cheese this morning. It had raisins in it.
A cream cheese bagel.
Damn it!
But then I called it a cinnamon raisin bagel because it was cinnamon raisin bagel. So peanut butter toast makes absolutely perfect sense. Don't let him be mean to you, honey.
Mom,
you just stand up for yourself.
Come on, I can take care of myself. I'm a man, okay? I gotta be tough and manly.
Okay, well-
we just talked about how that's important.
Don't embarrass me in front of my friends.
Men were walls, we're iron walls.
We feel nothing.
No. High school they called me BW for the Berlin Wall.
So your podcast will probably be similar to our podcast in the sense that you'll be able to find it, we hope, on the Apple Podcasts and the podcast Pocket Casts and anywhere you find your favorite podcast, people would say.
Yeah, no, do one more podcast platform.
The Google Play.
Nice, hell yeah,
ABC podcasts and NBC podcasts.
and HBO
And
podcasts.
I'll play it from my car.
Well, we often just say, like, how can somebody access your online content? Probably the exact same way they accessed listening to this podcast about your podcast.
That's right. So the Vigilante Book Club is what we're called. And you can also follow us on our Instagram or Twitter, which is at Club Vigilante, where all of those updating pieces of information would be easily found. So you can do that.
And there will be links and everything to all of this, obviously, in the description box, as there always is. Andrew, what about your socials?
My socials, I am on Instagram and Twitter at Drew Mac Smith. Just the shortest version of my entire name, Drew Mac Smith.
Right, and some people would say that like peanut butter toast is the shortest way to say that, but yeah, I got called out on that. So
You're right. I should be Andrew Macdonald-Smith, but no one's going to type that into their phone. They're like, I'm going to go check out what Andrew Macdonald-Smith is. Ugh, I'm exhausted. I'm going to quickly go eat some peanut butter toast.
Yes, it's working.
I have to say, I've always wanted to be a part of the breakfast series, but I always lived in Edmonton. And now I moved to Calgary, and my chance, I thought, got ruined by pandemic. And now I get to be a part of the Breakfast Series 2.0, The Breakfast Dish.
I am thrilled that you are, and it will happen. Damn it. Like, people are like, COVID needs to end so I can go back to work. COVID needs to end so I can party. And I'm like, COVID needs to end so that I can keep having breakfast with people.
What's your favorite breakfast?
My favorite breakfast is usually there's this lemon curd oatmeal at the Diner Deluxe in Calgary that is basically like eating lemon pudding. The more sugar, the better the breakfast. I say, what's yours? What's your favorite breakfast?
So I go between two. I love the duck confit breakfast at OEB. Yeah, Over Easy Breakfast. It's like sweet and vinegary and fatty, and it's $22 and it's worth every penny.
Okay, Griffin, let's give another restaurant a free commercial. What is your favorite breakfast in town, Calgary or Edmonton?
Crap, yeah, because my favorite breakfast as it stands right now is Friends and Neighbors on White Ave, their spinach feta omelet. Oh, man, I cannot tell you how many times I went to Friends and Neighbors blatantly hungover, and they knew it, and that's fine because they also run a pho place on the other side. They're lovely folk. Lovely coffee. You and I have eaten there like 3 or 4 times. Would
now be a really good time to bring up the fact that anytime some fabulous breakfast restaurant wanted to sponsor this podcast, they could at thebreakfastdish@gmail.com.
This is a good time. I wish there was someone there to do that.
That's a shame. If anyone wants to give me free breakfast.
That's right. If there's any independent bookstores or, vigilante crime bosses that want to contact Andrew.
Drop some corn pops off on his front porch.
Yep, that's all I need.
Drop some corn pops anywhere and he'll find you. It's like the bat signal.
Just drop some corn pops and I'll be there. I can smell a wasted corn pop from a mile away.
Yeah, drop the pops.
That is a Carly Simon song.
We're getting close to our wrap-up time. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
But Karen will ask you one more breakfast-related question. She is a professional improviser after all. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
That guy's wife who died in the first book, what did she have for breakfast that day?
She had a grapefruit, just a half a grapefruit with sugar on top.
See, it all goes back to Cagney.
And she was topless at the time.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
She has to be.
Yeah, she has to be.
And if you read the book, we'll all know the size of her boobs. And that's been the breakfast dish. Take us out, Griff.
What a great show.
Andrew, I'm happy you were able to be on the, I don't know, Audible upgraded breakfast series, which is now The Breakfast Ditch, which has, of course, been made possible by the Calgary Arts Development Authority, the Calgary Foundation, and the Rosé Foundation. The intro music you just heard and the outro music you're about to hear is by Alexander Kalman, and every single graphic you see anywhere ever is by Morgan Ermter. I promise you we don't do it. Please do your rating and your comment and your liking and your subscribing, and I don't know what buttons you have on your podcast platform, but press all of them. Am I missing anything? I went way too into the outro speech. I blacked out for 5 seconds.
You're not. You all just have a great day. You all just enjoy your breakfast, and when you're eating your corn pops, think of Drew Mac Smith.
And I've been your host, Peanut Butter Toast. Peanut Butter Host. There we go. Found
good.
it. Damn it. All right, bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bop, 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 bop. This has been The Breakfast Dish.